Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. I had the privilege of meeting Rabbi Boaz Bardea at the Pesach experience that we're at with Chef Rumi Flam in Somerset, New Jersey, prominent member of the community in Brooklyn. He's the Rav of Congregation B'nai Levi in Brooklyn, Rosh Kolo for Rabbanut, and we'll be looking at the Syrian ban on conversions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Zev.
Thank you.
Good Tevach.
Good Tevach, Shavua Tov, as they say in the You say Good Tevach, and I'll say Shavua Tov. We'll reverse roles. So tell us, and I understand that 1935 was a pivotal year in the Syrian Jewish community, and they decided to enact a ban, but the ban is still in effect today, and a lot of people are wondering, like, why? Why would you ban conversions, especially in today's day and age? So we appreciate your coming on to discuss this very important topic.
Yes, so first of all, I would like to say that myself, I'm not Syrian. I'm in the Syrian community, but myself, I born in Israel, and I came here, and I'm in the Syrian community, but I'm not a Syrian rabbi, and whatever I will say, it's my opinion, and I'm not saying there is maybe different opinions. So I'm not represent the Syrian community, I represented myself. So we all know that this issue is controversial. It's something that even among the rabbis, there were some voices that says that it's a problem. However, there is a lot of logic into it. And the rabbi, the main question that everybody is bothered by is the Torah commands us many, many times in the Torah, more than 20 times. Some says, "Ve'avtem et hager," you should love the convert, you should take care of him, you should give him a good feeling, and it's true. And how this takana, this idea of the Syrian and the not to do it, it's going together with the mitzvah of Avtem et Hager. So first of all, this takana is a long time ago, in 1927, started in Argentina, and then in 1935 it comes to New York and Mexico, and again the rabbis in 1946 and in 1972 and 1984, they every time decided to renew and to give strength to these rules. The main idea of the rabbis, Rabbi Tawil, Rabbi Seteon, and Rabbi Kassin, that did this takana, these things not to accept convert, is obviously not because we don't like the convert. It's because we're scared that people, because they know they could convert, so they will, in the first place, will go and interact with not religious girls, or the girls would interact with not religious boys, in idea that if they want to get married, they could convert. So in the first place, we want to prevent such a thing. And even the boy will know, the girl will know that once they interact with the goyim, they already have no future in the community. And by this, we're going to prevent them from being going to nisuim, to marriage with a goyim. Sometimes the convert is not going to be convert. Sometimes he's not going to be a real one. Sometimes he will be a real one. But we have to know that every rabbi has responsibility on his community. Every rabbi has his responsibility to make sure that his community is staying in the right way, and to watch and take care about them, and they have the power and the strength to make any kind of rules in order to make sure that your community is safe, even though the sometimes is against the Torah. Even there was a rabbi, it's called Rashbetz, he lived in the 1400, and he's clearly said that every community and every rabbi has a not only the strength, they have obligation to make sure that his community is safe. and therefore, in order to make safe and make sure that they're not going to get interact with the goyim, they will make this idea, these rules, not to become close to the goyim. And I think that in the result, the the result, it comes out that is almost zero convert, zero intermarriage in the Syrian community. And the thing is, it's because of the idea of this rabbi says, and I know many Ashkenazic rabbi that say that they should learn from them and should do like this, because the Syrian community, it's one of the major community in the world that be able to stay together with to make them minagim till today. They're very strong with the minagim. They keep the community together, everybody together, and they are safe. And many communities, they got intermarriage and they got lost, and a lot of bad things happened to them.
But and I hear what you're saying, Rabbi, and I understand it. But here's, first of all, aside from the fact, I think it's 36 times in the Torah it talks about loving and protecting the ger, which is an important thing. But the fact is, though, is that the intermarriage, if you look at intermarriage in America today, you'll find that most of the people that are intermarrying are not going through a conversion process. They're just marrying out of the faith. Those that ended up marrying somebody who converts, they happen to have, if it's a good conversion, will have a strong marriage. That's number one. Number two is you're disenfranchising so many potential people that are really according to this criteria, Rus wouldn't be allowed into the Jewish people.
So we're not Rus? Rus. Oh, so first of all, we have to know that today, and be honest with me, Zev, how many people is convert because they love Hashem, they love the Torah, they want to be part of the Jewish world, they want to accept the 613 mitzvot. How many convert? I'm sure there is like this, but they are very little.
I've met some.
Most of the people that get convert because marriage is not the right way to get convert, even though they want to keep, but that's not the reason of the person to become part of the Jewish people. We have mitzvah in the Torah to reject the convert. The Gemara said in Masechet Yevamot that if there's somebody wants to come and convert, you should tell him, don't come. It's not good for you. Why you want to be part of the people, of the Jewish people? We always get people hate us, and we get Holocaust, and we got so much suffering. Don't be part of us. We need to reject him in the first place to see how much he's sincere and how much he's strong and how much he really wants to become part of the Jewish nation. We're not Christian. We're not looking for making more people. And we want more people to become to the Jewish nation. So if the person is get converted because of marriage, this is not the criterion. This only if it happened and by mistake, but it's not the right way to go in the first place. And therefore, I wish that all the convert will be like Ruth. I wish they really come because Ba'asher telchi elech u'ba'asher talini alin amech ami ve'elokai elokai, I will go after you in the whatever you will go. So Be'emet, Ruth was one of the real that David HaMelech came out for. But today, in time, that's not like this. There is some people that are really believe and become converted.
A lot of them, I've come across them, Rabbi Bardea. A lot of people who love Yiddishkeit and love Judaism.
But you know, when you make a certain rule, so for sure, some good people will get hurt from it. That's always like this. Where I'm standing in the airport for 3 hours and in security because maybe there will be some terrorists that want to blow up the airplane. I never want to blow up airplane, and I still have to stay in line, and a million people will have to get security check because there is 1 or 2 people that might going to come to hurt. So therefore, sometimes you need to make a gezerah, even though some people will get hurt, but at least we get safe. The community will be together and tight, and not going to get intermarriage. That's the most important thing. We see in the Torah and the Gemara that many times they have a lot of the things the rabbis see that is not good. For example, if Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbat, there is obligation of the Torah to blow the shofar, just like there is obligation to love the convert. There is obligation to blow the shofar. But the rabbi says, if it's going to fall out on Shabbat, maybe someone in the entire world will come to carry the shofar. So therefore, the entire Jewish nation will not blow the shofar and will not fulfill the mitzvah of blowing the shofar, because maybe there is someone in China, the Jewish people, that will carry. So therefore, no one will blow the shofar and no one will take lulav if it will happen on Shabbat. Because the rabbi have a responsibility for their people that don't want them to do an avera, and sometimes good people could be hurt. But we have what we could do. We need to make ourselves.
I thought you didn't give the example of the Kohen Gadol, why he's not allowed to marry a widow, is because they're afraid that on the holiest night of the year, on Yom Kippur, he'll go into the Holy of Holies and he'll have in mind the married woman that her husband should die. And based on that, we say that he cannot marry a widow. But, and I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing, though. But this would change Yiddishkeit if everybody said we're not going to accept converts. It would be a big problem. And I believe Rabbi Bardea Yosef, Zechel Tzadok Lebracha, he also was against this ban in the Syrian Jewish community, from what I'm told.
There is, it's not. I'm not sure, but even if he was against it, there is many rabbis that agree with it. But he wasn't say should to cancel it. It just his advice. Maybe he should. But he never say he was here in the Syrian committee many times. Never tell them anything about it. It's some paper that he wrote to someone. Al tihi tzadik harbe, something like this. But we know in history that the rabbi that was in the community, not Rabbi Yosef, he was a giant, but he wasn't live in the New York and see what's going on. Those rabbis that are close, like Rabbi Kassin and Rabbi Seteon and all these rabbis, was very, very concerned about when they're moving from Syria to here, what will be. And therefore, they were doing something, and I think that I heard, I'm not sure if it's true, that Rabbi Avigdor Miller said that is a good thing, and the Ashkenazim should do it also. So basically, we need to understand that it is no convert without accept mitzvot. That's the psak according to a major of the rabbis. The convert has to accept upon himself, not because she loves him and she wants to get married, because she wants to accept the 613 mitzvot. We suffer 210 years in Egypt before becoming Jews, and we went to go through a lot of things. So till we accept upon ourselves in Matan Torah, which comes soon, that Naaseh v'nishma. So people that really wants to come, there's not so much. We're not here for to convert people. That's not the business of the Jewish nation. We don't need them. We don't want them. But if somebody come and he really wants to be part of us and he fulfill all the mitzvot, and he it's like a certain club in very fancy. There's no one could become a member. There is a way to become a member.
But Rabbi Boaz, from what I understand, what you're saying is that Rabbi Bardea Yosef was in Israel, didn't understand the community. But from what I understand,
I didn't say it right in this word, but I said that the rabbis of the community understand better.
So they understand better than the Gadol Hadar. Is that what the consensus is? Because Rabbi Bardea Yosef was the chief supreme posek, the censor of Jewish law in the Sephardic community.
No,
which is Syrian
so that's what I said. He never said to not to do it, and he accept and he respected, and he never did convert in here in New York. But maybe his opinion wasn't so happy for this. but there is machlokot in Am Israel, and every rabbi could have his decision.
So each group, and here's in the Ashkenazi community, we have the same debate: is if a Gadol Hador says something, but your local rabbi says differently, is there that autonomy? Do you have to go with what the Gadol Hador or the Posek says? And I think that came up with the question of putting up Erev, a Reuven. We had a Reuven in Brooklyn and elsewhere. So that's the whole debate. So you're saying is the local rabbi should be able to make that decision.
It's not the same. It's not the same issue. Here we're talking about not halacha. We're talking about that the idea how to keep the community safe. It's not something that I have a question in Chod Shabbat, who is right. It's not talking about something like this. I'm talking about something that has to do with the community, the leader of the community, whatever you feel that that's supposed to be that he wants to watch his people. Now, if Rabbi Yosef will say against it and write shuvas on it and say, listen, it's not true, it's not good, you should cancel it, I will hear you. But in all entire Bia Omer, which is the 11 volume, I don't think that he write one time and he touch almost every single idea in the Torah. I don't think he touched one time this issue and said something against it. So therefore,
Maybe
he was very proud. He was very proud.
He was Parver, from what I'm told from numerous sources. Again, I don't have the written.
Okay, so bring the source and
maybe
why he will not say anything? Why he will not write anything about it in 11 volume of Yabia Omer and 7 volume in Chavei Da'at and Alichot Olam and all these books in Chazon Ovadia? He never mentioned something which says it's not good. He never says his best friend. Chacham Ovadia Yosef, his best friend was Chacham Baruch Ben Chaim. They were learned together in Shivat Porat Yosef, and Chacham Baruch was clearly holding from this thing, and he never said anything to him, as far that we know. Therefore, I don't know if to says all what I said is not true because Ovadia was proud. I don't think this is the right approach.
Those of AM 620 WSNR or its management.
This is AM 620 WSNR.
And we're looking at the ban in the Syrian community on conversions, accepting converts into their community. Our guest is Rabbi Boaz Bardea. He is the rabbi of a congregation, B'nai Levi in Brooklyn, Rosh Kola for Rabbanut. And we're going to be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned. And when we come back, we'll take some of your phone calls. 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. If you have any, if you're part of the community or you're outside, you have opinions. I've been getting a lot of calls about this issue since we had the Lebanese chassan who married a young lady from the Syrian Jewish community. Turned out he was Jewish, but originally we didn't know that. So that's what precipitated this whole discussion. Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. We're looking at the Syrian Jewish community ban on conversions. And we're going to get to some of your phone calls. We'll get some of your emails as well as a topic that I know a lot of you have spoken to us about. And it's certainly a very, very interesting and hot button topic in the Jewish community. We just ask you to be respectful when we take our phone calls. Rabbi Boaz Bardea is our guest. He is the Rav of congregation B'nai Levi in Brooklyn, Rosh Kolo for Rabbanim. And let us go to, I believe it's George in Manhattan. George in Manhattan, you have a question for our guest. Go ahead, George. George, are you there? George, if you're not there, then we'll go to our next call. George, are you there? Okay. Let's go to Stan in Forest Hills. Go ahead, Stanley in Forest Hills.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I have a problem with anybody that doesn't want to see more Jewish people. I shake my head at that. Let me ask, is it the real reason that you don't want, you're against this, is that you that the religion will be infiltrated by outside sources of evil things? I mean, what is that what you're thinking, that somebody who wants to become Jewish, there may be try to destroy it from within or something, is something like that? Is that what you're thinking? Hello?
Go ahead, Rabbi Bardea. Yes.
I didn't get clear. We follow the Torah. They're not with the Gemara.
You want me to repeat it again?
He heard you. He's responding to you.
Oh, okay. I can't hear it.
I didn't get clear what you said, but I think that
I don't hear a thing. I'm sorry. Not a thing.
Listen on your radio. Go ahead, Rabbi Brenner. Go ahead.
I think that if you look in, I advise you to look in the Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, page 47b. Over there, the Gemara says that you have obligation to reject the convert when they come to convert.
I not hear him at all on the telephone. I do not hear this
Just listen on your radio. Go ahead, Rabbi. Go ahead.
So I'm saying it.
Radio?
Go ahead, Rabbi. Yes.
In Masechet Yevamot, in page 47b, over there the Gemara clearly said that we have obligation to reject the convert first when they come to be Jewish, not because we're scared. We don't have a mitzvah. The Goy doesn't have any mitzvah to become a Jew. We come to this world to do the mitzvot of Hashem, what Hashem commands us to do. The Goy doesn't have he has 7 mitzvot, he should keep them, and he should be well. That's his job in this world. Our job is to keep 613. There is no mitzvah for the Goy to become a Jew, and we don't have a mitzvah to accept him. The opposite, the Gemara said we should reject him to make sure that he really wants to become a Jew. Why you should accept to your club or to your nation someone that really doesn't want to become part of you, but he has a certain, because he want to get married, because he wants to be all kind of thing. He wants to become, if I could take you back to 1984, there was a basketball player that he couldn't play in the Maccabi Tel Aviv because he was a goy and it allowed only the Jews. So he became convert to play in Maccabi Tel Aviv. So this also could be a reason, but that's not the reason of our rabbi wants to people get convert. We wants to, if you want to be part of us, you should believe in what we believe. And therefore, we want only people that really wants it, and we have to make sure that they accept upon themselves the Torah, not a joke. They say, yeah, I'm doing it, and one Shabbat after they already will not keep Shabbat. Don't
forget about the Syrian Jewish community, Rabbi Bardea. That would be of any conversion. You want to make sure.
Right. No, this is question.
If you vet them,
I know, but that's what he asked. He asked regarding any convert.
I'm just saying, but if you vet them, then that should be okay, because that's how we have listened to converts from Onkelos to Rus, and I've interviewed quite a few converts on this program.
I said I told you in the first place, there is some big tzaddikim convert. And many of our rabbis was convert, Rabbi Akiva and other people were convert. I'm not saying there is no right and righteous convert people, but I'm saying in general, since that could hurt and harm the community, we need to make to ban them, because there is a lot of convert that not true, and maybe our kids and our girls could be going with them, and based on that we're going to convert them, and that's what we want to make sure that not should happen. And I know good people could get hurt from it, but if the idea in general is a good idea, so the rabbi have a feeling that is a right decision for the community, and they have the all right to do it, and the all strength and the power.
Let's go to George in Manhattan. George, you have a question for our guest. Go ahead, George.
Yes, Rabbi. Hello, Rabbi?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm here.
Okay. My question is that when the East African Semites moved to Israel, they had to go through a conversion process. How do you feel about that? Isn't that a form of racism? I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. I think he was referring to the Ethiopian Jews.
So we need to put the glasses of the halakha. Whatever we're not come here and to there is a lot of empathy and a lot of sensitivity for sure, but there is a big question: halakha, are they Jewish or not, or they are? There is many questions regarding the marriage over there, because according to Rabbi Bardea Yosef and according to many rabbis that deal with this issue, those people, the Torah shebe'al peh, the oral Torah was not there. So therefore, they didn't know many of the laws. And since there was together with a lot of tribes, goyim, so we scared too many issues that happened there. And therefore, we love them. They are great people. But we need to make sure that according to the halacha, since we know from the history, they didn't have all our exile, the people who knew the oral Torah in Morocco, in Spain, in Egypt, in Lebanon, in Libya, in Syria, they all had the oral Torah, and therefore we have no question regarding their Jewish Judaism. But those in Ethiopian, there was the Torah Sheba'al Peh was not exist by them. I know many Ethiopian, they will tell you that on Shabbat used to sit in the dark, since the Torah says Lo tevaru esh, that they understood that you're not allowed to have existing fire on Shabbat, which means they are sitting on the dark because they didn't realize that you're allowed to have a fire if you laid it before Shabbat. So they didn't have rabbis that know the halachot, they didn't have Sifrei Torah in the right way, they didn't have Gittin and Kiddushin. There is many questions regarding the Yichusin, the generation. And therefore there's big machloket among the rabbis. Rabbi Yosef was the one that said that they're Jewish and he accept them, and that's his psak. There's other rabbis, Rav Moshe Feinstein, if I said, he claimed that the Ethiopian need to convert lechumra. I think that because there's safek, let them dip in the mikveh, and just to make sure that they are Jewish 100%. And I think the Rabbanut in Israel also require them to dip in the mikveh if the Ethiopian guy come to get married to Israeli girl. I think if the Ethiopian come to get married to Ethiopian, so they let him to get married. But if Ethiopian wants to get married to regular Israeli girl, they will ask them to dip lechumra. And that's we have no issue, we accept everybody, but we have to know what's the history.
Okay, and we're going to take an email question until we get to some of the other phone calls too. This may be a little lengthy one. I'm just going to try to truncate it because it's a good one. It goes, okay, we have a lot of people calling. Okay, so dear Rabbi Bardea, over the years preceding 1935, this listener writes, the Syrian rabbis made it very difficult for Syrian men to get married. They were demanding many unaffordable standards to approve officiating a marriage for them. The Syrian men in the community were choked down into desperate situation where they started marrying non-Jews, and they started bringing over those non-Jews to the Syrian community. They converted to Judaism to stay with the Syrian husbands, and the community had such a huge influx of them that a solution was required immediately. Instead of finding a structure for them, one can argue that the Syrian community back then had no other choice to protect itself from assimilation. And yes, to an extent that is true. But the fact that this takana keeps renewing itself over the decades, even after the influx of fake converts disappeared, shows a much deeper underlying issue within the community. The community has always had its superiority conflicts. They made it look down on a multitude of people, converts, Ashkenazim and Jews born to a Jewish mother and non-Jewish father. Now, I myself am not a convert, but I can tell you I have firsthand experience with members of the community and people who have suffered the consequences of such takana. So let me list 3 facts and firsthand experiences. A non-official takana exists against Jews who have a non-Jewish father and Jews who have a father who is a convert, making it almost impossible for them to marry anyone from the community. But let me ask you the question. I'm going to skip to the questions. Will you count in your minion a ger tzedek who has proven him or herself over the decades to be sincere and committed? Will you be a Masada Kedushin for a Syrian marrying someone who has a Jewish mother and non-Jewish father? And will you tell all the Syrians tonight that Ashkenazim are as Jewish as the Syrian community, and they're also real descendants of Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov?
Again, what's the question exactly? I didn't get it there.
First question was, will you count into your minion a righteous convert who has proven him or herself over the years to be sincere and committed?
I think they will not. I tell you again, even though he is good and he's a ger tzedek, but since we want to keep the community safe, so we have to abandon even the righteous people. That's the pay. the payment that you have to do, but it's no other choice. If everybody will be in the right way, we don't need this takana. But the problem is that most of the convert are not like this. And therefore, we have to ban also the good convert because of the people that got convert because of different reason.
And that's the
And some even will go with the goyim.
I'm going to quickly answer this question because we have a lot of people waiting to speak to you. The second question
Okay.
is, will you be Masader Kedushin for a Syrian marrying someone who has a Jewish mother and non-Jewish father?
I will not, no.
And the reason being?
Because of the takana.
Yeah. And the third question, will you tell all the Syrians tonight that are listening that Ashkenazim are as Jewish as the Syrian community and that they're also real descendants of Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov?
Again, what?
I guess this listener wants to know if you will tell the Syrian Jewish community to state clearly that Ashkenazim are as Jewish as the Syrian community, and
They
that
are Jewish. They are Jewish the same, yes.
Okay. Okay, just reading what the questions are. If you're waiting on the phone line, we're going to get to you. I see we have listeners in Norway and Latvia tonight. So thank you for tuning in online for us. Rabbi Boaz Bardea is our guest, the Rava congregation, B'nai Levi in Brooklyn, the Rosh Kola for Rabbanot, and we're going to be right back after these messages. And if you'd like to call us, our numbers are 212-769-1925, 212-769-1925. Email us, zevbrenner@gmail.com. If you're ready on the line, we're going to get to you, but please be patient. Again, our numbers are 212-769-1925. Email zevbrenner@gmail.com, zevbrenner@gmail.com. I'm getting an email. Can you still qualify for the De La Rosa contest? Yes, we're going to give away some more bottles of truffle oil or glaze. Send me an email, zevbrenner@gmail.com, zevbrenner@gmail.com. Put De La Rosa in the byline, and we will give you a bottle of either one.